In residential districts in Pyongyang and smaller towns, the apartment blocks rise as showy high-rises with pastel facades, whose appearance is meant to emphasize the state's urban and political achievements. Allocation of housing is carried out according to state rules, often through the workplace or local administration, which means that having a dwelling is tied to occupational affiliation and political loyalty. Apartment interiors can be modest and functional, with low tables for sitting on the floor instead of Western chairs, showing a synthesis of tradition with a restrained everyday lifestyle. Multi-story blocks often have heating problems because central systems can be outdated, and in winter residents dress in layers and use makeshift window coverings to retain heat. Power supplies are sometimes irregular, which affects the operation of elevators and stairwell lighting, and residents accustomed to outages keep backup light sources and methods for food storage. In practice, many tenants avoid higher floors because of unreliable elevators and the need to carry water, fuel, and purchases on foot, making lower levels more desirable for families and seniors. On the ground floors of blocks, there are social stores and service points assigned by the authorities, but shortages and rationing lead residents to use informal markets outside the official network. Corridors and stairwells serve as public spaces where neighbors exchange information, fix small faults, and organize communal cleaning tasks reminiscent of collective socialist practices. In many apartments there is no running water, so residents use courtyards and communal draw points, and containers and plastic jerrycans become part of everyday household equipment. Sanitary installations are often basic, and hygienic conditions depend on the regularity of supplies and the efficiency of local administration, which especially outside the capital affects tenants' comfort and health. Some new housing projects are promoted as modern districts with additional amenities, but in practice access to them is selective and often reserved for privileged cadres. Balconies and windows of some towers are sometimes covered or bricked up for urban planning and security reasons, illustrating a conflict between aesthetics and spatial control in the heart of the city. Family gatherings take place in living rooms, and the primacy of state ceremonies permeates domestic life through watching broadcasts and celebrating official anniversaries as important social events. Multi-generational families share limited space, leading to improvised divisions and creative storage solutions while also strengthening intergenerational bonds. Maintaining apartments requires practical skills, so many people repair installations and appliances themselves, a result of limited service resources and the lack of professional help. Housing communities often organize cultural and sporting activities in courtyards, and playgrounds and sports fields serve as integration venues, but these programs are sometimes directed by local party cells. Apartment furnishings vary greatly depending on allocation. Some units receive modern appliances while others remain in a conservative state, reflecting unequal access to material goods. Tenants learn to economize resources and adapt to shortages, which includes garment maintenance, food processing, and exchanging neighborly services instead of paid repairs. District administrations keep resident registers and oversee allocations, and institutional control of information flows creates a sense of surveillance that affects privacy and domestic autonomy. Estate architecture combines monumental designs with material thrift, so facades can be impressive for display while structural imperfections become apparent under heavy use. Ceremonial handovers of new blocks are often celebrated in the media and serve as part of a political narrative about urban progress, even though the real conditions of residents' everyday lives remain varied. Many families cultivate small patches of greenery on balconies and in pots, treating this as a practical source of fresh vegetables and a modest food reserve helpful during periodic supply shortages. Construction and refurbishment work for show apartments is carried out intensively, but the fast pace and material savings raise doubts about the building's safety and durability. Public transport around housing estates plays a key role because most residents rely on trams and buses, and access to private transport is limited and rationed by the state. As cities develop, areas with higher standards and so-called luxury apartments have emerged, but such units are mainly available to the party elite and privileged occupational groups. Shortages in basic supplies lead residents to rely on barter, informal delivery networks, and private contacts. Housing management systems favor selected workers and officials, which translates into better locations and access to more advanced amenities and local privileges. Informal service points run from apartments offer small repairs, laundry, and snack sales, creating a local support ecosystem operating outside official channels and restrictions. Daily life in the blocks includes rituals of morning cleaning, evening gatherings to watch propaganda programs, and exchanges among neighbors, creating a specific urban community based on adaptation.